The rain hammered the roof like it was trying to drown out the screams echoing from downstairs, but nothing could wash away the metallic tang of blood in the air. I bolted upright in the guest bed, heart slamming against my ribs, convinced the world had just cracked open beneath me. And then I heard it, Zachary's voice, raw and broken, whispering my name like a prayer he didn't believe in anymore. Alex. God, what have I done? I never meant to fall for my best friend's older brother. Hell, I didn't even know I had it in me to feel this way until that first summer barbecue at the Harrisons' place in suburban Ohio. The kind of endless July afternoon where the air smells like charcoal and cut grass, and everyone's pretending their lives are as picture-perfect as the white picket fences lining Elm Street. Sam, my buddy since freshman year at Kent State, had dragged me over for ribs and red Solo cups, laughing about how his folks were out of town and it was just us degenerates holding down the fort. "Zach's cooking," he'd said, clapping me on the back. "Try not to drool all over the coleslaw." Zachary Harrison. Even his name rolled off the tongue like something forbidden, all sharp edges and quiet strength. He was 25 then, 3 years out of high school and working construction downtown, his arms tanned and corded from hauling rebar under the relentless Midwest sun. Sam idolized him, the way little brothers do. Zach was the golden boy who'd lettered in football, aced his SATs, and bolted for a partial ride at Ohio State before dropping out to find himself. Whatever that meant in a town where finding yourself usually involved a factory job or a shotgun wedding. Me? I was just Alex Rivera, the scrawny art major with a sketchbook full of half-finished portraits and a secret stack of dog-eared paperbacks hidden under my dorm mattress. Stories about boys who kissed in the shadows, their worlds colliding in ways that left you breathless and aching. Gay stories, if you want to call them that, though back then I barely had the guts to whisper the word to myself in the mirror. Growing up in Cleveland with a single mom who worked double shifts at the diner, I'd learned early to keep my weirdness locked down. Art was my outlet, my escape. Charcoal smudges on my fingers like war paint against the gray. That barbecue, though, God, it was like stepping into one of those novels. Zach manned the grill in faded Levi's and a threadbare Indian's tee, flipping burgers with a spatula like it was an extension of his hand, sweat beading on his forehead as he cracked jokes with Sam's buddies from the shop. His laugh was low, rumbling, the kind that vibrated through your chest. When he caught my eye, handing me a plate piled high with meat and fixings, there was this flicker, a pause that stretched too long. "You the artist kid?" he'd asked, his hazel eyes narrowing just a fraction, like he was sizing up a blueprint. "Sam says you draw like a demon." I mumbled something stupid about portraits, my face heating under his gaze, and spent the rest of the afternoon sketching the curve of his jaw from across the yard, pretending it was just idle doodling. But it wasn't. By the time the sun dipped low and the fireflies blinked on like faulty Christmas lights, I'd filled 3 pages with him, his calloused hands, the way his shirt clung to his back, the shadow of stubble that made him look equal parts rugged and ruined. That was the spark. The rest? A slow burn that turned into a goddamn inferno. It started innocently enough, or as innocent as these things get when you're 19 and stupid with want. Sam and I were thick as thieves, road trips to Cedar Point, late-night Xbox marathons fueled by cheap beer and his mom's leftover lasagna. Sleepovers at his place became routine, especially after his parents split for their annual casino jaunt to Atlantic City. "Crash here, man," Sam would say, tossing me a spare toothbrush. "Zach won't mind. He's got that early shift anyway." But Zach minded. Or at least, he started showing up more. First, it was casual, stocking the fridge with craft IPAs, challenging us to cornhole in the backyard until the mosquitoes drove us inside. He'd sprawl on the couch during movie nights, feet kicked up on the coffee table, critiquing the plot holes in whatever blockbuster we'd picked like he was Scorsese himself. Sam passed out early every time, snoring like a chainsaw, leaving me and Zach in the dim glow of the TV, the air thick with unspoken static. One night, midway through a rain-soaked viewing of The Notebook, Sam's guilty pleasure, swear to God, Zach leaned over, his knee brushing mine. "This shit's unrealistic," he muttered, but his voice was rough, like gravel under tires. The rain outside mirrored the one on screen, sheets of it blurring the windows. I nodded, throat dry, my sketchpad forgotten on the floor. His arm draped the back of the couch, fingers inches from my shoulder, and I swear I could feel the heat radiating off him, like he'd swallowed the sun. "You ever been in love like that?" I blurted, the words tumbling out before my brain could hit the brakes. "Stupid. Reckless." He went still, eyes fixed on the flickering lovers embracing in the downpour. A muscle ticked in his jaw. "Love's a scam, kid. Hits you hard, then leaves you bleeding." He drained his beer, the bottle clinking against his teeth. "But yeah. Once." The room felt smaller after that, the oxygen sucked out. I wanted to ask who, when, why it ended, but Sam stirred upstairs, and the moment shattered. Zach stood abruptly, muttering about checking the basement for leaks, and vanished into the shadows. I lay awake that night, listening to the storm rage, imagining what it would feel like to trace the lines of regret on his face. Weeks blurred into months. Sam noticed nothing, too buried in his auto mechanics classes and a string of flirty texts from that barista at the campus coffee shop. But I was unraveling. Every sleepover chipped away at my resolve. Stolen glances over breakfast, the brush of his hand when he passed the syrup, the way he'd linger in the kitchen doorway, watching me doodle at the table. "You're good, Alex," he'd say, voice soft. "Real good. Don't let this town grind it out of you." I didn't know what this was, art, me, us, but it hung there, heavy and hopeful. Then came Luke. Sam's buddy from high school, the golden retriever type with a megawatt smile and a Ford truck that roared like thunder. He crashed our circle uninvited one weekend, tires crunching gravel as he pulled up with a six-pack and stories from his stint in the National Guard. "Heard there's a party," he grinned, slapping Sam's back. But his eyes slid to Zach, lingering with a familiarity that twisted something low in my gut. Luke was everything I wasn't. Tall, blonde, built like he bench-pressed Buicks for fun. And Zach, he lit up around him. Laughed louder, clapped his shoulder harder. They disappeared into the garage for hours, fixing the mower, while Sam and I shot pool in the basement. I told myself it was nothing, just bros being bros, but the jealousy gnawed like rust on exposed metal. That night, after too many shots of Fireball, I stumbled out to the backyard for air. The moon hung low, bloated and indifferent, casting silver over the overgrown lawn. Voices drifted from the shadows near the shed, low murmurs, punctuated by Luke's chuckle. I froze, heart in my throat, as Zach's silhouette emerged, his hand gripping Luke's arm. Not in anger, in something fiercer. They kissed. Slow, deliberate, like men who'd done it 100 times before. Zach's fingers tangled in Luke's hair, pulling him closer, their bodies aligning in the moonlight with a desperation that stole my breath. It was beautiful. Devastating. My knees buckled, and I backed away, silent as a ghost, the image searing into my skull like a brand. I didn't sleep. Dawn crept in gray and guilty, and when Zach knocked on the guest room door with coffee, his smile easy and oblivious, I forced a grin that felt like glass. "Rough night?" he asked, handing me the mug. "You have no idea," I whispered, the lie bitter on my tongue. Little did I know, the real storm was just brewing. The next sleepover hit like a freight train. Sam had aced his midterms, so we celebrated with pizza and a binge of Stranger Things, the house alive with laughter and the scent of pepperoni. Luke tagged along again, uninvited as ever, his presence a thorn under my skin. Zach seemed edgier, nursing a single beer while the rest of us pounded them back, his eyes darting to the clock like he was waiting for an escape hatch. By midnight, Sam was toast, curled up on the recliner with a throw blanket over his face. Luke stretched, yawning theatrically. "Think I'll head out. Early PT tomorrow." He shot Zach a look, subtle, loaded, and clapped me on the shoulder. "Night, artist boy. Keep drawing those pretty pictures." The door clicked shut behind him, and the silence settled like dust. Zach cleared his throat, stacking empty plates with unnecessary care. "You crashing here again?" he asked, not looking up. Sam mumbled something affirmative from his coma, and I nodded, the routine as familiar as breathing. But tonight felt different, charged, like the air before a lightning strike. Zach lingered in the kitchen, wiping counters that didn't need it, until finally, he sighed. "Walk with me." We stepped out into the crisp fall night, leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. The neighborhood was hushed, porch lights glowing like distant stars, the distant hum of I-71 the only soundtrack. Zach led us to the old swing set in the backyard, rusted chains creaking as he sat, gesturing for me to join. I perched on the edge, our thighs inches apart, the cold metal biting through my jeans. "Luke's a good guy," he started, voice low. "But he's complicated." I swallowed hard, the confession from that night replaying in vivid technicolor. "Yeah. I saw." His head snapped up, eyes wide in the moonlight. "Saw what?" "The shed." "You too." The words hung there, ugly and true. He deflated, rubbing a hand over his face, stubble rasping against his palm. "Shit. Alex, it's not what it looks like," I finished, sharper than I meant. Hurt bloomed hot in my chest, mixing with the cold air. "Then what is it, Zach?" Because from where I was standing, it looked like you know exactly what you want. He stood abruptly, pacing the grass like a caged animal. "You don't get it. This town, my family, it's all about facades. Dad's expecting grandkids any day now. Mom's got the church ladies on speed dial. Luke, he's safe. No strings, no futures. Just blowing off steam so I don't lose my mind." "Safe," I echoed, the word tasting like ash. "And me? What am I? Zach, your little brother's sidekick? The kid who sketches you like you're some fucking masterpiece." He stopped, turning to me with an intensity that pinned me in place. "You're more than that. You've always been more. That's why this scares the hell out of me." The swing chain groaned as I rose, closing the distance. Our breaths mingled, fogging the air. "Then stop running." His hand cupped my jaw, thumb rough against my skin, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to the heat of him. His lips brushed mine, tentative, electric, and I melted into it, fingers fisting his shirt, tasting salt and regret and something sweeter, deeper. It was messy, urgent. His stubble scraping my chin as he deepened the kiss, a low groan rumbling from his chest. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together. "Alex," he murmured, voice wrecked. "This could ruin everything." "Then let it," I whispered, reckless and alive for the first time in forever. But as we slipped back inside, hands brushing in the dark hallway, I couldn't shake the shadow of Luke's truck idling at the curb down the street. Watching. Waiting. The hook was set, and the line was pulling taut. Winter clamped down on Ohio like a vice, turning Elm Street into a postcard of icicles and exhaust fumes. Snow piled in dirty drifts against the curbs, and the holidays loomed with their obligatory cheer. Strings of lights blinking like false promises, Bing Crosby crooning from every radio. Sam and I hunkered down for finals week, cramming in the Harrison basement amid stacks of textbooks and vending machine coffee. Zach was a ghost those days, pulling overtime at the site to fund some vague big move he wouldn't elaborate on. But his texts lit up my phone at odd hours. Missed the swing set? Or drew anything worth seeing? Emojis kept it light, but the subtext thrummed like a live wire. I replied in kind, my thumbs flying with sketches snapped on my phone. His work boots caked in mud. A quick study of his profile against the fridge magnet board. Worth seeing? Always. It was our secret language, coded in pixels and pretense. Sam caught me smiling at one once, mid-rant about carburetors. "What's with you and the emojis? Dude? You high?" "Nah," I lied, pocketing the phone. "Just memes." Christmas Eve brought the storm, literal and otherwise. Sam's folks were back from their separation sabbatical, decking halls with forced jollity, and the invite extended to me as the orphan artist. Mom was pulling a graveyard shift. Per usual. I showed up with a bottle of mid-shelf bourbon and a rap sketchbook for Sam, nerves jangling like sleigh bells. Zach answered the door, flannel shirt untucked over jeans, a smudge of flour on his cheek from whatever he'd been baking. "Hey, you," he said, voice warm as mulled cider, pulling me into a hug that lingered a beat too long for brotherly. The living room was a blizzard of tinsel and sentiment. Mrs. Harrison fussing over the tree while Mr. Harrison nursed a scotch by the fire. Sam blasted Die Hard on the TV. Best Christmas movie. Fight me. And Luke? He was there. Of course. Sprawled on the rug like he owned the place, regaling the room with tales of his holiday drill weekend. His eyes flicked to Zach's hand on my shoulder. Casual as you please, but I felt the chill. Dinner was roast beef and awkward small talk, the kind where everyone tiptoes around the elephant in the china cabinet. Dad's new job in Toledo, Mom's book club drama, Sam's phase with engine grease. Under the table, Zach's knee pressed mine, a steady anchor in the chop. When the plates cleared, he vanished to the kitchen, and I followed under pretense of helping with dishes. The sink ran hot, steam curling up like secrets. "You okay?" I asked, drying a tumbler, our elbows bumping in the narrow space. He glanced over, suds to his wrists. "Yeah. Just family, you know? They mean well, but it's like wearing a straitjacket to dinner." His free hand found my hip, thumb circling in a way that sent sparks skittering up my spine. "You look good tonight." "Festive," I snorted, gesturing to my thrift store sweater with its reindeer applique. Says the guy in holiday flannel. "You're one ugly Christmas tree away from full lumberjack." He laughed. That low, genuine rumble, and tugged me closer, water forgotten. Our mouths met over the suds, tasting of gravy and gingerbread, his fingers damp and insistent at my nape. It was stolen, sweet, the kind of kiss that promised more in the quiet hours after midnight mass. But Luke's voice cut through from the hall. "Zach, man, you got any more of that pie?" The moment shattered, and Zach pulled back, cursing under his breath. "Coming," he called, the mask slipping seamlessly into place. Later, as carols droned and eggnog flowed, Luke cornered me by the punch bowl. His smile was all teeth, eyes sharp as broken glass. "You and Zach seem tight these days. What's your angle, kid?" I stiffened, ladle hovering. "No angle. Just friends with Sam." He leaned in, breath sour with rum. "Sure. But I know that look. Careful, Alex. Zach's got baggage heavier than my rucksack. Play with fire, you get burned." The warning landed like a sucker punch, but I held his gaze. "Maybe I like the heat." His chuckle was mirthless. "Suit yourself. Just don't say I didn't tell ya." New Year's Eve flipped the script. Sam threw a rager, keg stands and jello shots, the house pulsing with bass from a Bluetooth speaker rigged to the stereo. Bodies packed the rooms, strangers from the local dive bar spilling onto the snow-dusted lawn for smokes and stargazing. I nursed a solo cup in the corner, sketching faces in the margins of a napkin, the chaos a blur of sequins and slurred toasts. Zach found me around 11, his shirt untucked, hair mussed like he'd been running hands through it. "Dance with me," he said, not a question, pulling me into the fray. The living room had cleared a space for an impromptu mosh pit, but he spun me slow, out of sync with the trap beat, our bodies fitting like puzzle pieces worn smooth. "You're drunk," I accused, but my hands betrayed me, sliding up his chest. "Only on you," he murmured, lips grazing my ear. The world tilted, countdowns echoing from the TV. 10, 9, 8, and as the ball dropped in Times Square, he kissed me full and fierce, right there amid the revelers. Confetti rained, cheers erupted, and for one suspended second, felt like victory. Then reality crashed in. Sam hooped from the kitchen, oblivious, but Luke was watching from the stairs, phone in hand, his expression unreadable. A flash went off, subtle as a sniper shot. My stomach plummeted. "What the hell?" Zach followed my gaze, face paling. "Luke, delete that." Luke pocketed the device, shrugging like it was nothing. "Just a memory, bro. Happy New Year." The party raged on, but the air soured. Zach dragged me to the basement for air, the concrete walls closing in as he paced. "He's bluffing." "He wouldn't." "Wouldn't what? Blackmail you? Out us?" I snapped, fear sharpening my words. "You think this is a game, Zach? One wrong move, and Sam's family your family." He whirled, grabbing my arms. "This is real, Alex. You. Me. I can't keep pretending." "Then don't," I pleaded, voice cracking. "But we have to be smart." We ended up tangled on the old futon, clothes half shed in the dim laundry light, his body a map of scars and stories, faint white lines from a bar fight sophomore year, a tattoo of a compass on his ribcage that pointed nowhere. It was my first time, clumsy and profound, his whispers guiding me through the nerves. "I've got you," he breathed, moving slow, reverent, like we were crafting something sacred from the wreckage. After We lay spent and sweaty, my head on his chest, listening to the thud of his heart. "I love you," he said into the dark, the words a grenade with the pin pulled. I lifted my head, searching his face. Yeah. His smile was tentative, boyish, scary as hell. But yeah, I kissed him then, soft and sure, the future stretching out like fresh snow, untouched, infinite. But upstairs, Luke's truck idled in the drive until dawn. January thawed into February with a vengeance, the snow melting into slush that sucked at your boots like quicksand. Campus life ground on life drawing classes where I rendered nudes with shaking hands, late shifts at the campus bookstore shelving romance novels that now felt prophetic. Sam and I kept our routine, but the undercurrent pulled stronger. Zach snuck away from work for stolen lunches at the diner, our booths a confessional for dreams deferred, him talking about community college for architecture, me confessing my portfolio applications to RISD. "You're going places, Alex," he'd say, stealing fries from my plate. Don't look back, but I did. Every time his truck pulled away, Luke's shadow loomed in my periphery. Text to Sam about hanging with Zach, casual drop-ins that stretched too long. Paranoia? Maybe. But when I spotted them arguing in the hardware store parking lot one afternoon, Zach's face thunderous, Luke's hand on his arm too familiar, I knew the fuse was lit. That night, the sleepover that changed everything. Sam begged me over after a brutal snowstorm canceled classes. "Power's out half the block, bro." Zach's got the generator humming. I arrived to a fortress of blankets and board games. The three of us huddled by candlelight like it was the apocalypse. Zach's eyes met mine over Monopoly money, a promise flickering in the flame. Sam conked out first, mid-game, his piece abandoned on boardwalk. Zach waited 10 minutes, then nodded toward the stairs. Attic. The ladder creaked under our weight. The space a forgotten museum of Sam's childhood, dusty boxes of Legos, a deflated Zeppelin poster curling at the edges. We spread an air mattress stolen from the garage, the storm howling outside like a banshee. No words needed. His mouth found mine in the dark, hands mapping familiar territory with new urgency. It was feverish, uninhibited, the creak of floorboards masking our gasps, the wind whipping the eaves like applause. He took his time unraveling me, lips trailing fire down my throat, fingers coaxing sounds I'd never made before. "Mine," he growled against my skin, possessive and undone, and I arched into it, lost in the rhythm of us. We collapsed in a heap, limbs entwined, the attic a cocoon against the cold. "Move in with me," he murmured, tracing lazy circles on my back. "After spring. My lease is up, we could find a place downtown. Start over." My heart swelled, a balloon on the verge of bursting. "Yeah, you mean it, every word." He kissed my temple, the gesture tender as a vow. But as sleep tugged at the edges, a floorboard groaned below. Not Sam, too deliberate. The attic door rasped open, and Luke's silhouette filled the frame, phone flashlight cutting through like a blade. "Cozy," he drawled, voice dripping venom. "Knew it." Zach bolted upright, yanking the blanket over us. "Get out, Luke." "Now." Luke stepped closer, the beam swinging wild. "Or what? You gonna hit me again? Like last time?" He laughed, bitter and broken. "I loved you, Zach. Thought we had something. Then this kid shows up, and suddenly I'm yesterday's trash." "It's not like that," Zach pleaded, voice raw. You knew it was casual. Casual? Luke's face twisted, the light catching tears in his eyes. I waited for you, you bastard. Joined the guard to get my head straight, came back thinking we'd figure it out. And you pick him? I shrank back, exposed and furious. Luke, please, shut up. He lunged, but Zach was faster, shoving him toward the ladder. They grappled, grunts echoing, the air mattress deflating with a hiss. Luke swung wild, fist connecting with Zach's jaw, a sick crack that froze my blood. Enough, I yelled, scrambling for my jeans. But it was too late. Luke stumbled down, cursing, and the house lights flickered on below. Sam's voice groggy. What the fuck? We dressed in frantic silence. Zach's lips split and swelling. Go, he whispered, pushing me toward the window access. Fire escape. I'll handle this. I climbed down into the howling gale, boots slipping on ice, heart shattering with each rung. From the shadows, I heard the shouts, Sam's confusion, Mrs. Harrison's gasp, Luke's venom spilling like oil. Your boy's a fag, Mrs. Been screwing around with his little brother. The betrayal landed like a gut punch. Not just Luke's, Zach's secrets, crashing down in a cascade of ugly truths. I ran through the storm, blocks blurring into whiteout, until my lungs burned and my legs gave out on a park bench under a sodium lamp. Sobs racked me, hot and helpless, the snow swallowing them whole. Hours later, or minutes, time lost in the freeze, headlights pierced the dark. Zach's truck idled up, engine rumbling like an apology. He killed the motor, stepping out in his coat, blood crusting his lip. Alex, I looked up, numb. It's over, isn't it? He knelt, cupping my face, thumbs brushing away flakes. Not us. Never us. His voice broke. Luke. He lost it. Told them everything. Sam's pissed. Mom's crying. Dad threw a punch. But I told them the truth. All of it. My breath hitched. And they're processing. But they didn't kick me out. A ghost of a smile. Sam even said, if you hurt him, I'll kill you myself. Relief warred with rage. Luke, gone. I told him we're done. For good. Zach pulled me up, enveloping me in his warmth. Come back. Please. We drove in silence, the wipers batting away the worst of it. The house loomed quiet, lights dimmed like a crime scene. Inside, Sam waited in the kitchen, nursing a black eye courtesy of Dad. He'd mutter later. You too. Okay? He asked, voice thick. Zach nodded, arm around my shoulders. Yeah. We're okay. It wasn't fixed. Not by a long shot. But in that moment, with the storm breaking outside and family fractures mending in the steam of fresh coffee, felt like the start of something unbreakable. Spring erupted in Ohio like a grudge match. Mud season giving way to tulips that popped defiant against the gray. Dogwoods unfurling petals like surrender flags. Campus buzzed with thaw. Frisbee on the quad. Co-eds in sundresses flirting over tailgate picnics. For me and Zach, it was a tentative bloom. Our relationship a fragile hothouse flower nurtured in stolen weekends and late-night drives to the Cuyahoga River, where the water ran rust-red under iron bridges, whispering secrets to the current. We kept it quiet at first, Sam's blessing a hard-won truce, his glares softening into gruff acceptance. Just don't make it weird at poker night. The Harrisons tiptoed too, Mom Harrison leaving care packages of lasagna at Zach's apartment. Dad Harrison grunting approvals over beers at Reds games. Luke vanished like smoke. Rumors swirled of him re-enlisting early, shipping out to Fort Bragg with a chip on his shoulder the size of the Appalachians. Good riddance, I thought, but the scar lingered, a reminder that love could curdle into something toxic overnight. Our first real date was gloriously mundane. A drive-in screening of Top Gun in Kent, Zach's truck bed lined with quilts and thermoses of spiked hot chocolate. Popcorn kernels stuck to our laps as Maverick and Goose bantered, but my eyes were on Zach, his profile gilded by the screen's glow, laughing at the volleyball scene with a freedom I'd never seen. "This is us," he said, lacing our fingers. Dog fights and all, I squeezed back, the weight of his ring, a simple silver band he'd bought on impulse from a flea market, cool against my skin. We talked rings half-joking over takeout, but now it felt like a talisman. "To the enemy?" I teased, echoing the film. "To us," he corrected, pulling me across the console for a kiss that tasted like butter and forever. But Harmony's a jealous bitch. April brought the betrayal I never saw coming, not from Luke, but from the one person who'd sworn to have our backs. Sam. It started small. Missed calls, vague texts about swamped with shop hours, poker night skipped, then the next. Zach shrugged it off, kids got a life, but unease gnawed at me like termites in drywall. One rainy Saturday, I swung by the auto bay unannounced, hoodies soaked, craving his dumb jokes over greasy sliders. The garage smelled of oil and ozone, lifts humming as mechanics wrestled engines. Sam was under a Chevy, wrench clanking, but he emerged wiping his hands. Expression shuddered. "Alex. What's up? Just checking in." "You ghosting us?" He shifted, avoiding my eyes. "Busy, man. You know." The lie hung thin. I pressed, "Sam, talk to me. If it's about me and Zach, it's not too quick." He glanced over his shoulder, where a burly guy in coveralls, Ricky, his foreman, lingered by the toolbox. "Look, I gotta get back." But I wasn't done. "Dinner tonight? Your place." Clear the air. He hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. But just us." That just us echoed wrong, but I let it slide. The Harrison house that evening was a tomb, curtains drawn, the kitchen clock ticking like a bomb. Sam answered in sweats, hair unkempt, a half-empty pizza box on the counter. "No, Zach," he'd texted about overtime. "Beer's in the fridge," Sam said, dropping onto the couch without preamble. We cracked cans, the hiss unnaturally loud. Small talk died fast, weather, classes, the Indians' shitty start. Then, "What's eating you, dude?" He set his beer down, knuckles white. "This. You and my brother." Fucked up. My stomach dropped. "Sam. We talked." "Yeah, we talked." His voice rose, edged with something feral. "You talked about how it's real and forever, but I see it, Alex. The way he looks at you like you're oxygen. And it kills me, because what about me? The little brother who always played second fiddle." I reeled. "This isn't about that. Zach loves you, but not like he loves you." Sam slammed his fist on the armrest, veins bulging. "I grew up in his shadow, busting my ass to measure up. Football star this, college dropout that. And now, you're the new star. The one he chose." Hurt twisted into anger. "I didn't ask for this. I fell for him, Sam. Hard. And I thought you were okay. Your blessing meant everything. He laughed. Hollow. Blessing? It was pity. I said it to keep the peace. But every time you're here, it's like I'm invisible. My own house, my own blood stolen. The room spun. So what? You want me gone? Worse. He leaned forward, eyes glassy. I want what he has. With you. The confession landed like a landmine. Sam's hand on my knee, tentative, trembling, sent ice through my veins. Sam. No. Hear me out. His voice cracked, desperate. I felt it too. That pull. Late nights. Just us before Zach. Remember Cedar Point? The Ferris wheel. When you leaned on my shoulder. I wanted to kiss you then. Still do. I jerked back. Chair scraping. Betrayal bloomed black and bitter. This wasn't lust. It was sabotage. Sam's jealousy weaponized into something grotesque. You're drunk. Confused. Am I? He stood, closing in. Test me. I bolted for the door, rain lashing my face as I hit the porch. Stay away from us, Sam. You're crossing lines you can't uncross. His shout chased me into the night. You think you're better? You're just his pretty little secret. I drove aimlessly, wipers slapping fury, until muscle memory pulled me to Zach's apartment. A shoebox walk-up above a laundromat, our nascent home. He answered in boxers, concern etching his face. Babe, what's wrong? I collapsed against him, the story spilling in sobs, Sam's words, his touch, the fracture in our circle. Zach's arms tightened, a fortress, but his silence screamed volumes. When I finished, he guided me to the couch, fetching water with hands that shook. I knew, he admitted finally, sitting beside me. Not the feelings, but the resentment. He's always hated how easy it was for me, with people, with life. Thought enlisting would toughen him, but it just festered. Guilt stabbed me. Why didn't you say? Family blind spot. He pulled me close, chin on my head. But this? It's on him. We'll face it together. We did or tried. The next day, Zach confronted Sam at the garage, me waiting in the truck like a getaway driver. Voices rose through the roll-up door. Accusations. Please. The thud of a dropped tool. Sam emerged red-eyed, Zach following with a split knuckle. It's done, Zach said, climbing in. He needs space. Therapy, maybe. But he won't hurt us again. I nodded, but the wound wept. Trust, once cracked, leaks slow. Climax brewed in May. Graduation season painting Kent in caps and gowns. Air ripe with possibility and pollen. My portfolio show loomed. A gallery crawl in the student union. Canvases of urban decay and hidden intimacies. Zach's face woven subtle into the strokes. He promised to come, tie and all, our first public outing as. The night before, Luke returned. Not in person. A manila envelope shoved under Zach's door. No return address. Inside photos. Grainy prints from that attic brawl. Us tangled on the air mattress. Timestamps glaring. And a note, scrawled in Luke's blocky hand. Thought you should see what your forever looks like to the world. Keep playing house. I'll be watching. Panic clawed my throat. He wants to destroy us. Zach crumpled the note. Face stone. Let him try, but doubt seeded. The show arrived sweltering. Hall packed with professors in tweed and proud parents clutching programs. My pieces hung bold Rust Belt Requiem, a triptych of Cleveland's ghosts, shadow play, abstracts of lovers in eclipse. Whispers rippled. Rivera's got edge. I floated on it, champagne flute in hand, until Zach arrived, crisp button down, slacks hugging his thighs, smile like sunrise. You came, I breathed, pulling him into a corner alcove. Wouldn't miss it. His kiss was chaste, public safe, but his hand lingered on my waist. Then the murmurs shifted, heads turning. Sam, uninvited, unhinged, strode in like a storm front, eyes wild, clutching a bottle wrapped in paper. Alex, congrats. Man, his hug was bone-crusher tight, breath reeking of whiskey. Sam, what? Deserve this. He thrust the bottle at me. Jack Daniels, my vice, then whirled to the crowd. Everyone, a toast to the artist. And his muse. He yanked Zach forward, sloshing liquor on the floor. My brother, the heartbreaker. Laughter tittered. Uneasy. Zach stiffened. Easy, Sam. But Sam wasn't done. He pulled the photos from his jacket. How? Luke, of course, flinging them like confetti. Look, family album. Gasps rippled. The images fluttered. Us. Exposed. Raw. A professor choked on her wine. A cluster of freshmen gawked. My world narrowed to Sam's sneer. Told you, Alex. Secrets don't stay buried. Betrayal doubled down. Sam, in league with Luke, the venom in his eyes confirmed it. Revenge. A brother's scorn turned scorched earth. Zach lunged, fists clenched. You son of a... Security swarmed, hauling Sam out as he ranted. They're liars, all of 'em. I stood frozen, shards of my triumph crunching underfoot, tears blurring the faces. Zach shielded me, arm like iron. We're leaving. Outside, rain slicked the sidewalks, thunder growling threats. We stumbled to the truck, my gown discarded in the gutter like a shed skin. It's over, I sobbed. My shot gone. No, Zach cupped my face, rain mingling with tears. This is just the intermission. We'll rewrite the ending. But as we drove into the deluge, sirens wailing in pursuit, I wondered if some stories were meant to end in flood. The fallout was biblical, 40 days and nights of radio silence. The world contracting to Zach's apartment and the relentless patter of regret against the windows. My inbox overflowed. Dean emails about conduct reviews, whispers from classmates laced with pity or prurience. Mom called from Cleveland, voice steel. You hold your head high, Mijo. Art's in the truth. Not the scandal, but the truth felt like quicksand, sucking me under. Zach was my lifeline, nursing hangovers with greasy diner runs, framing the wreckage as raw material. Channel it, he'd urge, setting up my easel by the fire escape, the city sprawl a canvas of neon veins. I painted fury, slashes of crimson for Sam's knife twist, ultramarine blues for Luke's lurking ghost. Betrayal diptych, I called it, Zach's form emerging from the chaos like a colossus, unbowed, unbreakable, but cracks spiderwebbed. Nights, he'd wake thrashing from nightmares, Dad's belt, church sermons branding him sinner, clinging to me like flotsam. What if they never forgive? He'd murmur, voice small in the dark. They will, I'd lie, tracing his tattoo. Or we build without them. Sam's purge came mid-June. A scorched earth letter delivered by courier. Apology scrawled in pencil, smudged like his resolve. I fucked up. Jealousy ate me alive. Luke fed me the pics. Said it'd wake you up. Didn't. I'm enlisting for real this time. Basic in Benning. Don't hate me. No plea for reconciliation. Just coordinates for his absence. Zach read it twice, then burned it in the sink. The flames dancing like derision. Good riddance. But loss hollowed him. A brother excised like a tumor. We mourned in motion. Road trip south. Chasing summer through Appalachia. Zach's truck devouring miles of blue highways. Smoky Mountains first. Hikes through rhododendron tunnels. Waterfalls thundering like catharsis. We camped under stars thick as spilled milk. Bodies twined in a borrowed tent. The earth's pulse syncing with ours. You're my compass, I whispered one dawn, his skin gilded by sunrise filtering through mesh. He smiled, lazy and loved, pointing true north. Always, Pigeon Forge next, kitsch overload, Dollywood coasters that left us screaming and spent. Moonshine tastings in holler shacks, where grizzled distillers spun yarns of feuds and forbidden courtships. Love's like lightning, one drawled, pouring amber fire. Strikes once, burns hot, leaves you scarred but alive. Zach bought a jar, toasting, to scars. We pushed to Nashville, Music City's honky-tonks a balm for battered souls. Neon signs bled into the night, fiddles wailing laments over fried green tomatoes. One bar, the stage bathed in red. A drag queen belted Jolene with a voice like velvet gravel. Fierce, unapologetic. Zach watched transfixed, then pulled me onto the floor, two-stepping clumsy amid sequined queens and cowboy hats. You're glowing, I yelled over the twang. Because of you, he spun me out, dipping low, our laughter a shield against the stairs. But humanity's not all harmony. Gatlinburg's Bible Belt fringes whispered judgment. Gas station clerks eyeing our linked hands. A motel clerk's curt one bed, laced with disdain. Zach's jaw set harder each mile, old wounds reopening. They see freaks, he muttered, gunning the engine. I touched his thigh. They see threats. To their tidy lies. Memphis sealed the mend. Beale Street's blues a soul salve. BB. King's ghost in every riff. We grilled ribs on the Mississippi's bank. The river's muddy churn mirroring our murk. This is redemption, Zach said, sauce on his chin, eyes clear for the first time in months. Back in Ohio, July sweltered with second chances. My RISD deferral arrived, scandal squelched by a sympathetic prof's intervention, but I pivoted local. Adjunct spot at Akron U, teaching intro drawing to wide-eyed freshmen. Zach enrolled part-time at community college, drafting classes filling notebooks with precise lines. Our shoebox evolved, bookshelves crammed with dog-eared Ginsberg, a second-hand drafting table butting my easel. Intimacy deepened, no longer frantic but foundational, lazy Sundays tracing freckles, debates over Kerouac that dissolved into slow, exploratory sex, learning the language of each other's silences. I want kids someday, he confessed one night, head on my lap as rain drummed the roof. Adopted, maybe. Teach 'em to build instead of break. My heart stuttered. Yeah, you'd be a hell of a dad, he grinned, vulnerable. With you, we'd be unstoppable. August brought the call. Luke, stateside from a tour extension, voice slurry over the line. Zach took it in the kitchen, me eavesdropping from the hall. What do you want? Pause. No, Luke. It's done. Longer pause, tone sharpening. Threats? That's low. Even for you. Click. He emerged pale, but resolute. He's got more pics. Wants money to bury him. Rage boiled. We go to the cops. And drag it public? Again? Zach paced. No. I meet him. End this. I protested, but his mind was steel. The Rendezvous, a dive bar in Youngstown, neutral turf of flickering bud signs and sticky floors. I tailed in my beater Civic, parking across the lot, heart hammering as Zach entered. Minutes stretched eternal, shadows shifting through grimy windows, until fists flew. Glass shattered, shouts erupted. I burst in, ducking a wild swing from Luke, who reeked of desperation and deployment dust. Stay down. Fairy, Luke snarled, but Zach pinned him, knee to chest. Delete it. Now. Zach's voice was ice. Phone rested free. A factory reset. Files purged in a digital pyre. Luke sagged, defeated. Why him? I was there first. Because he sees me, Zach said, standing. Not the mask. We left him crumpled, the barflies averting eyes. In the truck, adrenaline crashed into catharsis. Zach's hands shook on the wheel, but his laugh bubbled free, wild and won. It's over, truly. Dawn broke with a vengeance. But so did we, stronger, annealed. Fall foliage turned Ohio to fire, crimson maples torching the hills, harvest moons fat and forgiving. Sam's basic graduation photos arrived via mail. Him in fatigues, salute crisp, a note clipped, proud of you both. Write soon. Love, Lil Bro. Forgiveness, tentative as a truce. Thanksgiving tested it. The Harrisons' table groaned under turkey and tension. Dad Harrison's toasts skirting edges. To family. Blood and chosen. Mom's pie was sweeter, her hug lingering. Sam Skyped from base, face tanned and transformed, toasting. To not being an asshole anymore. Laughter healed, tentative. Winter solstice brought our ritual. The swing set, chains iced but sturdy. Bundled in scarves, we swung side by side, breaths clouding. 1 year, Zach said, hand in mine. Feels like always. He stopped us, dropping to one knee in the snow, ring box velvet, simple gold band glinting. Marry me, Alex. Not tomorrow, not legal yet, but when the world catches up. Be my forever. Tears froze on my lashes. Yes. God. Yes. We kissed under the oak. Snowflakes anointing, the neighborhood's slumbering witness. But drama's not done with us. Spring 2026 whispered omens. Luke's discharge papers surfacing in tabloid fodder. A tell-all threat in a sleazy blog. Guard vet spills on Ohio gay scandal. Clicks baited. Headlines howled. Climax crested Memorial Day. A backyard barbecue at the Harrisons. Old rituals revived. Sam's leave overlapping with Zach's sight break. Grills smoked. Beers chilled. But undercurrents churned. Dad Harrison clapped backs. Mom fussed pies. Sam and I rebuilt bridges over cornhole tosses. His apologies earnest. I was lost. Man. Armies straightening the bend. Then Luke crashed the gate. Unshaven, unsteady, bottle in hand. Heard there was a party. Security wasn't invited, but family was. Zach stepped forward, calm as a quartermaster. Leave. Luke's eyes raked me, venomous. Nah. Got a story for your guests. He pulled a USB from his pocket, final nail. He slurred. Videos. From the attic. High def. Gasps rippled. Sam's face drained. Dad's hand twitched toward the shed. But I stepped up, voice steady. Play it, then. Show them love. Real love, not your twisted revenge. Luke faltered, thumb hovering. The yard held breath, birdsong mocking. Zach's hand found mine. Do it. With a curse, Luke hurled the drive into the fire pit, flames devouring silicon sins. Fuck you both, he staggered out, tail lights fading into dusk. Applause erupted, claps. Whoops. Mom's sob of relief. Sam hugged us fierce. My heroes. That night, under stars pricked like promises, Zach and I danced slow on the patio, the family a chorus fading to fade. We survived, he whispered. Barely, I laughed. But truth rang, we'd thrived. Summer 2026 unfurled like a victory lap. Ohio's heat a languid embrace. Fireflies scripting Morse code in the gloaming. Wedding whispers wove through our days. Not Vegas kitsch, but a backyard vow under that ancient oak. Sam as best man. Mom Harrison's quilt as aisle runner. Invites went queer and wide, art profs. Construction crew. A drag auntie from Nashville crooning vows. Legal, pending. Sacred, undeniable. But humanism's heart beats in the humble. Zach's first day in drafting. My solo exhibit at the Akron Art Museum. Veins of the Valley. Portraits of Rust Belt lovers. A subtle in the strokes. Critics cooed. Rivera captures the American ache. Tender. Tenacious. We framed the review above the fridge. Next to Sam's promotion letter. Sergeant Stripes. Georgia posting. Luke's echo faded to footnote. A VA psych hold. Whispers of reconciliation with his own demons. No charges. Mercy over malice. Let him heal, Zach said, voice tempered by time. We all deserve that shot. August brought the Hook's echo. Another sleepover. Sam's last before redeployment. The house thrummed nostalgic. Xbox controllers sticky with sweat. Pizza boxes fortressing the coffee table. Zach cooked. Steaks charred just right. His apron a comic flourish. To full circles, he toasted. Clinking bottles. Sam grinned. Arm around my shoulders. No more drama. Scout's honor. We believed him. Midnight found us on the roof. Bottles dangling. City lights winking conspiracy. Remember the attic? Sam mused. Stars reflecting in his eyes. Zach chuckled. How could I forget? Near death by ladder. I leaned on Zach. His warmth a constant. Worth every creak. Confession circled. Sam's voice soft. I envied you too. That fire. Thought I needed it to feel whole. Pause. Swig. Turns out, it's in the quiet, brothers. Blood. Bending not breaking. Tears pricked. Love you. Man. Back. Fist bump. Sealed. Dawn crept pink. Sam's truck rumbling away. Hugs fierce. Promises penned. The house emptied. Echoey. But we filled it. Paint splattered mornings. Blueprint evenings. Bodies sinking in the king bed we'd splurged on. Slow dances horizontal. Whispers weaving futures. Fall crisped leaves to gold. Our ceremony a harvest hymn. October 10th. Oak boughs bowed under fairy lights. Guests in flannel and finery. Mom Rivera flew in. Abuelita rosary clutched. Dad Harrison walked Zach down the aisle. Voice gruff. Proud. Son. Vows exchanged raw. Zach's you rebuilt me. Brick by brick. Mine you colored my grays. Rings slid home. Matching golds. Engraved true north. Kiss sealed under cheers. confetti of maple samaras swirling. Reception raged. Barbecue pit roaring. Bluegrass band fiddling rocky top. Toasts tipping from tender to tipsy. Sam Skyped mid-revel. Fatigues crisp. Barracks backdrop. Marines by proxy, looking sharp. Hubbies. Laughter bridged miles. Night waned. Guests drifting to embers. We slipped away to the swing set. Creek eternal, swinging lazy. Rings catching moonlight. Happily ever after? Zach teased. Foot hooking mine. I grinned, pulling him close. After all that? Damn right. But stories circle, don't they? Winter whispered a twist Zach's doc visit. Routine turned revelation. Early arthritis from sight years. Hands that built now balking at blueprints. Can't draft forever, he admitted. Voice hollow over takeout. Panic flickered. So, teach. Design software. Hell, I'll paint murals on our fridge. He searched my face. Fear easing. Yeah, always. We pivoted his adjunct gig at the tech center. Remote consults for green builds. My tenure track solidified. Canvases commissioned coast to coast. Spring 2027 bloomed adoption files. Foster fairs in Columbus. Hearts cracking at tiny faces. Little Jamie arrived June 1st. 5. Freckled. Foster system scarred. Eyes wide at our forever home. First night. He clutched Zach's compass tattoo. Points to you. Zach ruffled his curls. To family. Kiddo. Jamie thawed slow. Night terrors tamed by story hours. My sketches of his dinosaurs framing walls. Sam visited on leave. Uncle Duty's earnest. Fort building. Frog hunts in the yard. Never thought I'd say it, he confessed one dusk. Jamie asleep between us. But you're the dad I want to be. Luke's redemption postcard arrived summer's end. Rehab grad. Ohio return. Coffee invite extended tentative. We met neutral. Park bench. Iced teas sweating. He looked hollowed. Healthier. Sorry doesn't cut it, he started. Voice rough. But I mean it. Therapy's kicking my ass. Turns out, I was running from me. Not you. Zach nodded. Guarded. Water under. Stay dry. Handshake firm. No hugs. But seeds sown. Luke's volunteer gig at the VA. Our paths crossing at fundraisers. Nods evolving to small talk. Years layered like varnish. Jamie's firsts. Bike wobbles. School plays. Braces gleaming. Our 10th anniversary. A vow renewal under the oak. Now gnarled grandeur. Sam, stateside permanent, stood witness. His own partner, a quiet vet named Riley, arm linked. Mom Harrison's pie. Dad's toast. To loves that last. Climax's shadow. A health scare. My vision blurring mid-canvas. Doc diagnosing stress macular. Slow down, Zach fretted, hovering like a hawk. I laughed through tears. With you? Never. Adaptations art. Audiobooks for late reads. Voice-guided sketches. Jamie's empathy bloomed. Daddy Alex, I draw for you. Crayon worlds vivid. Humanism's close. Not flawless, but forged. Ohio's heartland held us. Suburbs softened by time. Swing set retired to garden swing. Jamie's laughter echoing. One November eve. Snow dusting anew. We three piled on the couch. Stranger things flickering. Cocoa steaming. Zach's arm around me. Jamie's head on my lap. The hook that started it all a distant dream. My friend's older brother, I murmured to Zach. Lips brushing his ear. Stunned me once. He grinned. Hazel eyes twinkling. Good stun. The best. Outside, rain turned to flakes, washing clean, burying old wounds. We endured the storm, emerged whole. In America's vast, vain story, dramatic gales, emotional tempests, romantic fires, we found our vain, humanistic, hard-won home. The end? Not just the heart keeping time.